Good evening, and good evening. We thank God for blessing us to be here at this time. We give God all the praise and the honor for blessing us again on this Thursday night for our leadership. Let's Talk with Gullie leadership platform. And guess what? I'm Gullie and my wife Janice, and we thank God at this time for blessing us. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for blessing us as we come before your presence with thanksgiving. We enter into your courts with praise, and we bless your name. Thank you for Dr. Hilton as he brings forth this information. Dear Lord, you would have us to be the best leaders because we represent you. Now we thank you, and as Satan, we come against you in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. In any interruptions, we come against you in Jesus' name. Amen. Pastor Jay, in your hand.
Amen. Good evening, everyone, and thank you again for joining us this afternoon in our leadership forum. Today, our scripture will come out of Proverbs, the 16th chapter, and I will read the 7th verse, starting there out of King James Version. It says, "When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues with right. A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps." And this is Proverbs 16, 7 through the 9th verses. We thank God for his word.
Thank you there. And this young man, he's about the age of our children, maybe a little younger, but he's the age of our children. I met him, this is the 7th month, so I met him about 7 months ago, and at our daughter Danielle's Hall of Fame for L.C. Bird. And my wife Janice, always messing with me and teasing me because when I see opportunities that I can probably get someone on a platform, I'm like a bulldog. The only thing you got to do is say yes or no, and I'll hunt you down. But I enjoyed talking to him, Dr. Hilton, and ever since then we've met, and he will explain what he does in personally, business, and the county. But I admire this young man. He's a go-getter and a great leader from the seven months that I've known him. So without further ado, I present to you Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Laquan M. Hilton. It's in your hands, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so we met because I saw your cowboy boots and we started talking. And I'm a cowboy boot fan, just like you. And so just kindred spirits meeting and talking. And so just want to thank you for this opportunity, you and your wife, to speak about leadership, about what's going on in the county and what's going on in my world. And so I just so much appreciate the opportunity.
I would like to say this, remind people and those who will look on later, what is so nice, his wife, Nelda, was on last month. And of course, Dr. Hilton had scheduled to be on, but he had to be, I believe, in Texas, where I think he got another pair of boots. But anyway, that's another story. And come to find out, I knew his wife years ago, or met her at the job years ago. And as we began to talk, and he mentioned her name and where she used to work, I said, I remember someone back then. And lo and behold, we meet again. I met him, and the connections came together. So I thank God for it. I just want to throw that in there, sir. So back in your hands.
Yeah, I was in Arizona. We had the region gets leaders from all across the different sectors, whether it's local government, business, nonprofits, and they take you to a city that they want to show you maybe how they operate a little bit better, or something that they would, a few things they would like for you to bring to the region. And so I did that. That's where I was. We went to Phoenix and got to see some really great things there. if you stay in your four walls, or if you stay only in your county, and don't get out and see what other people are doing, you're at a disadvantage. You got to understand what people are doing other places and try to bring that back to where you are, and make sure that you implement those good ideas. So thankful that I was there and around a lot of great people. I say iron sharpens iron. And so I was grateful to be there. Yeah. So I'll let you, ask me a few questions, or you tell me how to go about the next
Well,
few.
first of all, just tell us your personal, whether from home,
Okay.
yourself personally, and your home, then beyond, your leadership style. Let's start with yourself and at home. What type of leadership style? Then you can go to business, your personal business, and further.
Yeah. So my personal leadership style at home is really, we pray about things that we're going to do. So anything that we do, we're going to pray about it. My wife and I know a lot of times, is in our society, the man or the husband kind of comes out and says, "Hey, what we're going to do," and that's just kind of how our society sometimes is set up. But I'm always of the opinion that we got to talk to the people around us. We got to talk to our mentors. We got to talk to experts in that field of decision that we're going to make. And I listen to my wife in every decision that we make, because she's very smart. She's educated. I'm grateful to have her. I often say she's the second best decision I made in my life. The first is me coming to Christ and my relationship with God. But she's smart. She's intelligent. I love the way she responds. I married up a few levels, to be honest with you, because she is amazing. And I'm just grateful. We celebrated 10 years married. We've been together for 20. We met in graduate school, and we married after graduate school. And so, it's just a blessing to have her. And we just have some great people around us. I would say that it's really about your village. And that's the way I kind of, leadership wise, is how I handle my household. It's some things that are core values that you can't compromise. But then there are some things that are outside of, or not really linked to values. And you need to understand how to move in those things. So having people like you and others, I call them the board of directors of my life. Uh, I would be remiss not to, say thanks to my mom, who is one of my partners in business, and who has great advice and great opinion about different things. Also, would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my sisters and my brothers, who honestly are older than me, and I won't say how old, but they are older. They have kids my age, and I would often say that the baby is dangerous, because they're all a part of my board of directors. So I talk to them about different things. They give me guidance. They all married well, so even their spouses give great advice. And I was just talking to my brother-in-law earlier this week, and he's giving me some ideas, and just telling me, how great of a parents we are. And we went and hung out with them a few weeks ago in High Point. And so I'm just grateful for the village, and that's how I make my decisions, is to those things that are in my value set, to handle those straightforward. But then those things where I might need some guidance or some core competency around, to seek out people who have encountered those things previously and understand how they made those decisions and how they would advise me. And also, I just think God, when you pray about it, a lot of times he'll remove possibilities, and he'll open your mind up to new information. So in everything that I do, I'm in prayer, and I also fast. Usually, a lot of times I don't eat before noon because I'm fasting and praying for decisions that I need to make and to have clarity in those decisions. So that's how I operate at home. Um, so you, I'll let you take it from there.
Well, that's the main thing, because I would tell anyone, get people around you that won't say yes just to say yes. Get people around you as a leader, starting from personally yourself to your home and beyond. Get people who will question. In the ministry, as well, pastors, I tell the membership, I mean, have a question, whether I'm offended or not. We want to always respect people, but ask questions. Oh, don't agree with me if you don't agree with me. And so then we can talk. But again, it's all about respecting each other. So that's from home. Pastor Jay, do you have a question or comment? You had your
Oh,
hand up.
wow. Oh, you were reading my mind. I didn't have my hand up, but I did have a question I was going to ask you. I like the information you've shared thus far, Julius. You talked about core values. Can you share with us some of your core values? Because when I think of core values too, I think that those are areas of our leadership that are non-negotiables, right? And can you share with us what some of your core values are as far as your leadership?
Absolutely. We want to make sure people are treated fairly, that they're treated right. We want to make sure that we help people, that we give them the resources that they need in order to be successful. We also believe that we want to treat people the way we would want to be treated if we were in their situation. We also want to treat people godly. We want to give people grace and mercy, and we want to be forgiving and allow people to have a second chance, a third chance. We want to I often say that you can't have grace and mercy follow you if you're not giving it. And so we got to make sure that we're giving it in everything that we do. And one of the things that I always try to do, one thing that my dad talked about is that you never know a person until you walk in their shoes. So
Sure.
one of the things I'll do from a leadership perspective is, even let's just say the fire department, for instance, with Chesterfield County. I'm on the board of supervisors for Chesterfield County. One thing I'll do is I'll have a day in the life with the firefighters, and I try to do that on a quarterly basis, um, and just understand what it's like for them to run service calls for calls for service for the county, for them to stick their food in the microwave, to take it out and may take a spoonful or a forkful and have to put it down and run to another call, or to be on the way back from a call and then have to go to another call, and doing that 24 hours a day in a shift and really have no sleep. And so you understand where they are and what they're trying to do. So you understand, based on what they're asking for, maybe in a budget or maybe in a request, you understand the life that they're going through every day at work. It's the same thing with the Bible. My grandfather was a bishop in the Pentecostal church, and my uncles were deep theologians. And one of the things that they talked about was hermeneutics. So actually putting yourself in the body, the spirit, the time of the person in the Bible, and understanding what they were going through at that particular time adds a new perception, a new reality, because you're putting yourself in their shoes. So as one of my core values, I always try to put myself in other people's shoes and understand life from their perspective. And I will tell you that's one of the reasons why I don't think public policy, has adequately addressed some of the societal issues that we have. It's because as policymakers, a lot of times we haven't put ourselves in the position of people that are experiencing the issues that we're trying to write policy for and to solve for.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is we put in policies that may have unintended consequences for the person or the people. and that's not what we want to do. So one of the things that, and one of the values I live by, is to always put myself in the person's shoes and understand it from their perspective. Um, and that requires a lot of times a pause to judgment. Um, instead of me seeing something with my eyes and making a determination, it says, "Hey, look, let me pull back and what do I see versus what do I not see, and how can I see what is in my blind side?" So one of the things I often ask is, "Hey, look, what's in our blind side? This is a great decision. It's a great policy. What's in our blind side? What are some things that we haven't considered?" And so I think that going through that exercise, whether it's in government or business, will help you make better decisions for the future.
Thank you.
Wow.
That was excellent feedback, and because like I said, I consider the core values. I know working in corporate America, we had core values that we had to adhere to, and those things were things that in essence, the bank or where I worked at stood to say that is a non-negotiable. You have to do. You have to make sure you do this because this is what we stand for. And I like that you put yourself in someone else's shoes and you try to walk in their shoes to get a feel. Basically, it just comes to empathy, right? To understand what another person might be going through. And I like the fact too that you talked about community, the village that is around you. You don't jump out there to make a decision on your own without the input of the village. That is very important. And, the people who are also going to be impacted by the decisions that you might make as an individual, but also as you holistically, as a group or a team, decide to make. So, I like the way and the pause of judgment. That's right on point because it gives us another lens to look through, if you will, when we are talking about making decisions, that we pause what we think because sometimes our eyes can be deceiving, right? What we
Mhm.
see with our natural eye can be deceiving, could be something behind the scenes that we might be missing. So thank you so much. That was a one question that I had, Pastor G, but thank you.
Yeah, you remind me. It was about 10, 12 years ago, and I can't exactly remember the airline, but there was an airline, not your American airline, I mean United or whatever. It was an airline. It was a pretty good airline. And the CEO, what he would do, maybe yearly or whatever it was, I think they had like a community type thing. He would get out there and serve
Mhm.
along with all the other people. This is the CEO, pulled his necktie off and got with the people. And then also I look at this on a spiritual level as leaders in the church, as pastors. If we forget where we've come from, what we had to endure, what others help mentor us and led us, a lot of times we forget and don't have that empathy or forget how we felt when someone didn't listen to us. A great leader will listen more than he or she speaks. And then you said this, and I chuckle, but it's true. You said uh, your wife is the second best thing, and I agree with that in your life. Christ and your wife and your children, and you married up. Well, I absolutely married up, and I call myself a great pastor. People probably say, "What in the world?" I got people around me that know more than me. A leader must have people around in other different areas know more
Mhm.
because we are helpers of one another. She's on right now. I'm going to embarrass her. Rolina, our ministry, she's an executive administrator. She does many, many things in the background, foreground, and in the background. And when we have our leadership meetings or just overall, I tell them I'm a very smart pastor. I'm
Mhm.
smart enough to know to encircle myself with people that can do in other areas what I can't do. Then we'll come together. So a leader got to be one that's don't mind being challenged. So leading from that, which I think is a good idea that you went with the fire department. Do you do that with other departments, agencies, or whatever, as far as spending time in their shoes?
Absolutely. I do it with the police. I go to their, I've been to their roll calls. I sit down and listen to the crime reports, understand, what's going on. And, where can I help? That's one of the things I always ask. It's like, where can I help? How do you want me to help? Because, I will be honest, some people might say, look, this is something that's happening and we have a remedy for it, or yeah, we got it under control. We'll let you know when we need some help. Because I think sometimes you can step in, and I would tell you that sometimes it could not always be the best thing that you step in, because maybe they got it and they have a plan, and so it's always interesting to do that.
Okay. So, because I did a ride along, I want to try to do another one with a police officer. And let me tell you, it was quite interesting. And I got to feel a little bit for those few hours of what they go through. And so I want to continue doing some things like that. So we talked about you from home, personally from home. Um, how about now that you are a business owner?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're the county supervisor. So let's hit some of the business leadership as far as your family all involved, your mother. Then we'll go to what you do in the county. We
Yeah,
talk.
so I'll be honest. My mom and my wife, we have a cousin that is our runs our books, and so one of the things is it's just really about listening to people, and everybody has their own experience, their own set of expertise, and shame on us if we think we know everything.
Right.
I would say that the man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. And so we have a call every day, usually about 9:15, where we just kind of check in and see what's going on, and if anybody has any concerns and anything that they want to talk about, we talk about it early in the day. That way, it helps set the tone for what we need to do. We bring the team in and have a call with the team later on that morning, and we have check-ins throughout the day. So it's just really about everybody being an expert in their field, and then bringing in the that expertise into making the team perform the way it needs to perform. So it's a lot of value there in terms of we value each other. We value the perspectives that we have, and I think that that adds a lot of benefit when you have that mindset. I often tell people we sit at a circular table. This is not, I sit at the head and somebody else sits on, the left or right flank. This is a round table. And I think creating an environment where people are comfortable to bring up issues or comfortable bringing up solutions or better ways to do things. When you set the culture to operate that way, you have a high performing organization. And so that's what I would say about that. My leadership style there.
I like that. When you said about the round table, it goes back to how we reared our children. It was something about the table, the breakfast, dinner table, lunch, whatever. And it was something about that great, even though they didn't always want to be at the table. They just want to eat and run. But it was something about that table. Now that they are grown, now of course they see the value of the table. Excuse me. I like that concept. Sometimes it's a physical change in the environment, a circular table where we all can put into it. And you said there's no head seat. How did that idea come up, and what was really the concept of that? It's significant to me.
Yeah, so I would say it probably came out of my military experience. I'm a lieutenant colonel currently in the Army Reserves, but I would say that even when I was younger in my military career, the fortunate thing about the Army Reserve is that you have a lot of people that have a lot of expertise that are in there, and what they do in the Army Reserve might not be what they do every day. So I'll give you an example. I remember being a young lieutenant and I was a platoon leader. We had a truck that went down, and one of the guys got out, and I want to say he was an X-ray tech. And he got out. He said, "Hey, sir, let me take a look at it." Lifted the hood up and did some things, and gave us, told us what he needed, and they had the part or whatever. And it was something very quick that he did, and the truck cranked right back up. And he got back in and he says, "Yeah, I was a mechanic in another life." And so you never know what people do or have done. And so that military experience has transcended in other areas of my life. So you really don't know what people do. It may be even a person that's in your office that does photography, right? And they may help set up events, they may help with constituent services, but they're a photographer. So if the photographer is not able to make it, or maybe they're running late, uh, you can say, "Hey, would you mind helping us all out with some photos?" So it's really about learning people and understanding what they can do, and what they like to do, and what they have done. And so you never take anybody or anything for granted. You always want to, in my mind, you always want to be respectful to people, and you want to talk to people. It's always, I had a buddy of mine used to say, it's always better to make a friend when you don't need a friend than it is to make a friend when you need one. So you really want to know people and their skill sets and what their gifts are. So then when the opportunity presents itself, you can marry uh, the skill set that they have up with the need, the opportunity. So it's important to know your people.
Okay. All right. Tell us a little bit about you being the county supervisor, and of course, our title we're talking about, and I just had this up. I want to read it exactly like it says that leadership and vision in public service. Leadership and vision in public service. Now, how did that transcend into you being the county supervisor, and even um, you served the rest of Mr. Holland's term because he passed away. Could you tell us a little bit about that, serving his term, and coming into that like that? So give us a little gist about your public service and your vision as far as the county.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. So I served with Mr. Holland for 6 years on the planning commission. And, unfortunately, he passed away in October of last year. In November, the Board of Supervisors unanimously put me into the position. What that meant was, I had big shoes to fill. Mr. Holland was a great leader, and he and Miss Holland, they were great role models to many people in the community. So I was very grateful for him to tap me, and for the board to tap me to serve on an interim basis. I must say that we have an election right now. A lot of people don't know we have an election right now. August 4th is the last day to vote, but you can vote early during the week, and then also 2 weekends in July you can vote. So we do have a primary now for the seat. But I would tell you that I love the job. It's a great job. We're making great progress. One of the things that Mr. Holland did, and you talk about vision, I'll mention this. When I first got on the planning commission, I said, "Hey, what is your vision?" What do you see? This is the second highest board in the county. It has a lot of weight on the planning commission. You help go through development with the community. Anything that people want to rezone, anything that people want to build that hasn't been properly zoned. They have community meetings. You meet with the developer. You work with staff. It's a lot of I would say a lot of things you have to do in order to get development projects through, right? And so he said, well, most people are saying they want more medical, they want more sit-down restaurants, they want more amenities, a supermarket. They want that in the corridor. They want that in our district. And he had his finger on the pulse because we had the VCU Wilder School come in, and through their fellow program, they had a fellow that did a year-long study, and they had focus groups. They talked to the community, find out exactly what they wanted, and it was true. Most people wanted more sit-down restaurants. They wanted more medical. You'll see that happening now in the district, right? They wanted a hotel. They wanted some more housing in some areas, some more single family housing, some more townhouses. We had people that wanted to move into the district, right? And so at the same time, we had county employees that said, "Hey, I only have 30 minutes, maybe an hour for lunch, so I can't travel great distances to get lunch," or even if they're working the night shift to get dinner, or if they're headed to work, they needed to buy breakfast or what have you, right? Or they wanted to pick up some stuff from the shopping center, the grocery store on the way home. So they wanted those amenities there. That's what people told us. So now what's happening is people told us what they wanted their vision to be, and we're implementing their vision. And so as we see the VCU hospital, we put the last beam in a few weeks ago. As we cut the ribbon at the Chippenham ER, that's what people wanted. They wanted medical at their doorstep. They wanted restaurants at their doorstep. So we're bringing all of that together. At the same time, people are telling us we want parks. My kids bug me every week for, I don't know, it was a few months. They wanted a swing set in the backyard. And my rebuttal was, we have great parks and we can go there anytime. And so that's what we want to do, is make sure that we have those amenities that people want, those quality of life amenities that people want. We want to make sure we bring those to the district. So it's them coming in, telling us what their vision is. And then I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself a representative. I represent the people. This is what the people told me they want, and this is what I'm going to deliver. And so the same thing with a New Dell Elementary School. We know that we have overcrowding in the district. We have over 60 instructional trailers that are being used to teach our kids. It's not safe. We needed a new elementary school. This New Dell Elementary School is going to be not a replacement school, but it's going to be in addition to school. So what that means is it's going to relieve the overcrowding at our elementary schools, and we won't have any trailers in the Dell district. We also realized that more people wanted pre-K. We have 271 kids on the waiting list for pre-K across the county. 91 of those are from the Dell district. And so we needed a new pre-K program in the county. So that new elementary school is going to have a pre-K wing on it. We have to be good stewards. While we're doing these amenities, we have to be good stewards. So we had county-owned land that we could build it on, and we could save ourselves $7.5 million on the acquisition cost of the land, which that only gives us a gap of $10 million to put that pre-K wing on the school. What that does for families is it lowers the cost of childcare, because if 3 and 4 year olds can go to school, then their parents don't have to pay childcare. And so we wanted to make the county more affordable. That's what people said they wanted also. They said we want more affordable living. We want amenities. This is all things that people told us they wanted from their vision. So we are as a elected official or an appointed official right now, we want to listen to people and put into place their vision. And we want their vision to help guide our vision as representatives.
So what I get out of this is, of course, you can't satisfy everyone. I mean, I've been to the board meetings. Whew, my hat off to you all. But it sounds like to me all that you said, like I said, we can't, of course, please everyone. But it sounds like to me you all listen. I mean, you hold hands, you touch your hand. And then from the beginning, earlier rather, you talk about walking in someone else's shoes, and then you listen. And definitely, I can see the schools, I can see the townhouses, other houses coming up in the Dale district. Let me tell you, in the last 6-7 years, just where I am, North Chesterfield, it really has expanded. So I'm so grateful that you all and but you all listen and have empathy. And that's one thing that a leader must do. They must have a heart for the people, not just to get in the office and say, I'm in the office, whatever office it may be, spiritual or non-spiritual, to have a heart for people. Now, I will go back to the church. We definitely, as believers in Christ, we got to have a heart for our families, community, the people overall, and who are we doing it for? Are we doing it out of selfish ambition? Are we really doing it for Christ? Are we really doing it for the people? So it sounds like to me, and knowing you this 7 months and some of the things that you all are doing, it sounds like you're trying to be the best leader that you can be.
Yes, we're trying every day. I get up and put my shoes on. I'm running for the county. I want to make sure that residents have what they need. We need to make sure that everybody in Chesterfield has the experience where they can live, work, and play, and they can enjoy themselves. So that's what we're fighting for every day.
Okay, so as far as leadership, you mentioned your mother on the board and your late father. Who was some of the other influencers in your life, starting up and even to now? I know you mentioned Mr. Holland, but what kind of impact did he have in your leadership skills that you present now?
Yeah, so I think Mr. Holland was a great leader. He would listen to anybody. As I saw him on the planning commission, he would greet people where they are. He would, and I mean, it's tons and tons of examples, right? He was relatable, and those are things that you want to be. You want to be approachable, and as I look, you asked who else were some of the other people that I admire in terms of leadership. My grandfather was a bishop in the Pentecostal church. He also ran a construction company. And so just seeing his love and care for people, both in church and in the community, was something that played a big part in my life. One thing I often say is we don't need people to be simply successful, right? We need people that are more thoughtful, more caring, more loving, right? And that's what my grandfather and my grandmother, both my grandmothers, that's something that they represented. They were very thoughtful. They were dedicated to the community. My grandmother on my mom's side was in the American Legion. She volunteered at her fire station for over 40 years. She was dedicated to her church. She would clean her church every week. They had no cleaning crew. She would do that. She was dedicated to her family. She was. I would even describe her as the way I described her previously and she was like the lady off the help. She had a family that she took care of. She would wash their clothes, clean their house, make sure that their kids were taken care of, and also the husband and wife were taken care of. And then she would come home and take care of her own family. And the same thing with my mom. She was a single parent, worked her way up at DuPont. Um, Went to college. I would sit in the back of college, her college classes, and later returned to that same college to get a degree. So those are the things that I think about when I think about leadership. People that they're not about talking about it; they're about doing it. Um, and so, I have a great uncle and aunt in DC, Uncle David and Aunt Janice, phenomenal leaders. I got to see them as I grew up. And I would say this, my Aunt Janice, I was maybe about 6 or 7, and we were walking in DC, and we saw a homeless man. And I'm from Martinsville, so we didn't have a lot of homelessness, open homelessness, a lot of
Yeah.
people on the streets.
Yeah.
So I asked my Aunt Janice, I said, "Hey, what is he doing? What's going on with him?" And she said, the way she described it, and this is when you talk about a village, she described him as somebody just like me. She described him as somebody that just didn't have a house key. And that was something, even through my research at VCU, I did my dissertation on homelessness and how people that are homeless or unhoused, how they choose their human services. And so she put that in me to look at people with compassion. And that's I think what sometimes we're missing in society is that they don't look at people with compassion. Um, and so we are all somebody's son or somebody's daughter, and we should treat each other in that manner. So those are just a few of the people that have really inspired me. My mother-in-law is great. She prays for me and covers me in the blood of Jesus through her labor before the Lord. And so she's another that has come and has been right beside us, in good and bad times. And so we're grateful for her and seeing how she led her family. She's raised 3 amazing kids, one of which I'm married to. Um, and she's done a great job with her late husband. And so it's those type of people. Like I could say like, oh, Martin Luther King or Thurgood Marshall. I could name some people that are on a national level, but I think it's the heroes and sheroes that we see every day that have really impacted the community, where if they wouldn't have been there, a lot of people would have fallen through the gap. And so now the way I feel is I'm a part of the generation where we need to be that bridge. And that's what draws me to public service, is being that bridge now for the next generation. Because if I know that if I'm not there with others, that they'll fall off. They'll fall into troubled waters.
Right.
So we need to make sure others. We need to make sure that we're bridges for others over troubled waters. So that's who I look to for strength and examples of leadership.
Wow. That is great. And when we're talking about leadership and vision and public service, leadership and vision and public service, we as believers in Christ, we should be servants, those who seek to serve, not always someone serving us. Let's look at the greatest leader in the world ever was. That was Jesus Christ. This is a man that left heaven. He left heaven, came down here and walked the dusty roads over in Israel, over in the Middle East. Dusty roads. Let me put it more plainly. They more than likely wore sandal shoes. You've got animal feces up and down the road. His radius, if I understand, probably no more than 50-mile radius that he traveled. He was tired and dusty and thirsty, but he wanted to wash the disciples' feet. And Peter said, no, 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 not you, not the Messiah washing our feet. And Peter basically said, hey, you won't wash my feet. But what do you say? If I don't, then you're not a part of me. A leader, figuratively speaking, and maybe actual, but we need to be able to humble ourselves so that we be willing to wash somebody's feet if necessary,
Right.
and keep that type of humble attitude. And I see that from these 7 months. I see that in you, that you're not too big that you can't humble yourself down and help. I see you as a person who can talk to high officials and the everyday Joe, so to speak. So that's a leader should be able to touch the hands of the homeless and touch the hands of those that determine our lifestyle in government, in society. That's
Yeah.
the kind of leaders that we should be as we, uh, again, the leadership and vision and public service. Because whether spiritually or just generally speaking, we're all leaders. But are we the leaders that God would have us to be? Pastor Jay, you have any question or comment?
I just want to make the comment too. I was when I was looking at our flyer, and I see on one of the points there on the flyer, over your eye, there's a heart, right? And so I just want to say that I think that that is very key. That an individual who is going to lead and have a vision for the public, to serve or in any capacity, we have to have a heart for it, right? We have to see it through the lens of our heart posture to want to do it. Because you have a lot of people who are leading, but they're doing it for fortune, for fame, for the paycheck, for the name dropping aspect of it, but their hearts aren't really in it, and you can tell that their hearts aren't really in it because the things that they're accomplishing, they're not really things that are really serving to the public or serving to those who they are here to serve, to benefit them. It's more or less like what you said earlier. They don't consult with the village, or if they consult with the village, they still walk away and say, well, I think I want to do it this way. I think I want to have it my way. And so I think a lot of times we have to think from the aspect of, is a person's heart really in it when they serve? Even from us as leaders in church, Pastor Hoggart and myself, we have to have a heart for what we do. If we don't have a heart for what we do, then our service, our servitude to those we are serving is going to be very poorly done. And so as it is with you, I listen at you. You have not only this position for the county, but you have a family business that you have a lot of hats that you wear. So therefore, for you to make strides in what you do for the people in the public, I think it had to start with you from having a heart for what you do from the core place of your home, from your family, for those that pour into you. So therefore, you come out with a game plan, if I can say it that way. You come out with already knowing that some of the things that you want to accomplish and how you want to help meet the needs of the people. But I think it's very important for us as leaders to put our whole heart into the game of what we do, and don't come half stepping with what we do. Be concerned about other people, and that's very important. I must go back again to our core values, is that there are certain things that we should never let down. We should never put our integrity at bay. We should live and move and breathe and be people of integrity. And for you to serve the county as you do, you must be a person of integrity in your home, which is already demonstrated as to, I'm just going to say this. You already see that your wife is, one of the best things in your life besides Christ. So, hey, you got my vote. And so, that is very key. And so, because there again, a lot of men, a lot of people, men don't listen to their wives. They think that their wives don't bring anything to the table. And some don't, I get it. But for the most part, you gotta bring in, all of the players to see what we bring to the table, because I think in every team that everybody brings some value to the team. We just got to look for that value and pull it out. And so this has been very good. It is very good. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I would say too, being on the board of supervisors, I think that it's important to listen to everybody
Mm-hmm.
that's on the board. It's important to listen to staff. It's important to listen to the community, right? And then make your decision. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, and you got to make your decision on what's best for the county, not what's best for you know any other interest groups or anybody like that. You gotta figure out what's best for the county,
Right.
people of the county. And so, I think that's something that I would say that's important as you make tough decisions. We make very tough decisions, but when you make decisions based on your core values and what's best for the residents of the county, with the information from staff, from other experts, from the community, from your colleagues. And I would tell you that you know everybody needs to have a voice and to be listened to, and they need to feel
True.
valued,
True.
regardless of any difference or any similarity that we have. We need to listen to people.
True.
And so, as I took office, and I thought about this. I said, "What are going to be my promises?" Right? And I can't promise things that I can't deliver on.
True.
I got to be realistic about what my promises are. And so as I thought about it for a few weeks, I said, one, I can always be present, right? I can always be present.
Mm-hmm.
I can always listen to everyone. I need to listen to all people, right? And then I'm gonna help when I can. If it's something that I can do after somebody tells me what's going on or tells me an issue, I'm gonna try to help. So, I had a guy, I had an issue with a department this week. After I listened to him, I put him in touch with the department head that he needed to talk to. They talked it out. He got the resolution he needed, and I do that on a regular basis. And so we gotta listen to people, and if we can help, we gotta help them. We can't just let
Yes.
people just be out there. We gotta help them.
I agree. That's good.
Yeah.
Yes. That's definitely true, because we need to have empathy. I just don't want, as a leader and as leaders overall, let's not forget where we've come from. Because number one, I say this, how can I say this? Know how they say you got to stand on the shoulders of others? We're
Right.
standing on the shoulders of what others have done. Number one, if I can say it this way, we're standing on the shoulders of the greatest one, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and how he led. And if we love him, we want to be like him.
Right.
But then we're standing on the shoulders of those who went before us, our parents, other people,
Right.
and they sacrificed so much to where we can enjoy things that they could not enjoy. And we, as a leader, individual, and as collectively, we shouldn't waste the opportunities. My parents weren't well educated farmers, tenant farmers, did not even own the land, got cheated, because my father and mother were born in 1922 and 1924. So times were greatly different in North Carolina and in the world. But I stand on their shoulders because they paved the way for me through Christ to be the leader I am. And I pray as our children stand on our shoulders and we have grandchildren. So we all should lead that legacy of being a leader that Christ wants us to be, that leader in the home, in the public sector, and all around, all the way around. And that's what we should strive to be, the leaders. So if you can, between yourself, between home and your business, would you like to give us a little bit, if you want to, of what type of business that you're in so people can understand you more?
Yeah, so we help people find homes that as a realtor. So we have a real estate brokerage company. We also have a construction company where we go in and renovate houses, or we can build houses from the ground up. Haven't done it in a few years, just because the real estate sales side has been kind of our primary focus. But I am a licensed builder. We have renovated houses and commercial buildings recently, but haven't really built any houses recently. Um, and so those are the things that I do on the business side, and so very grateful to the team that's around me there that keeps everything in check and allows me to step out at moments to handle what goes on in the county, and thankful for the county and the staff there that can help me tee up things. So when I bounce back and forth, they help sync my schedule and make sure that all things are in place and handled in decency and in order. So that's what I do. I have three girls. I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And so when I look at my board service on Chesterfield County, and this is no knock against any other board member, but I have kids in public school currently. So I think I bring that perspective. I say that I'm in the sandwich generation, so I have Asian parents, which some of the board members do have aging parents, right? Um, but I have Asian parents and I have a young family, and so I think that diversity in experience helps me govern, because I understand where people that are my age are coming from. Um, I when I'm 15 minutes late coming to a meeting because the bus was late and it broke down, and I'm trying to decide if it's better to drop the kids off at school and they get a tardy, or should I wait 15 more minutes and be late so that they're not tardy at the bus. I can understand the importance of funding uh, the school board's budget when it includes the school buses that they need. I understand what it's like to have a kid that is in public school. I was a kid in Chesterfield County public schools. I had class in the trailer. I know what it's like when it's a tornado or severe weather watch, and to be in a trailer and not the main building. It feels a lot safer to be in the main building versus in the trailer. So I think that the diversity of experience and knowledge is something that I bring to the board in terms of my leadership, because I understand where people are in this phase of life. And so that's what I bring to that aspect of it. And just to kind of touch a little bit on the Army Reserve side, I'm with the active duty unit. Most of my career, I've been with active duty units as a Army reservist, and so I bring that Army Reserve perspective to the active duty Army. The Army is divided into National Guard, Army Reserve, and active duty. So we say we have three components. And so not all the time do the different components understand what each other is doing, right? Or what it takes to be in each component. But I bring that reality to active duty. And so I'm very fortunate that I'm able to kind of move in different areas and have good people to help me as I transition back and forth. Um, and have systems and processes in place with the people. So just very grateful.
Yes. As they would say in the country, that's a mouthful. That is great. And we thank God for you. And I like the part that you say, because on the board, and I've seen the board, and Dr. Miller even spoke on our platform a couple of years ago. And so I began to understand more and more about the board, but a diversified board. And you look to me to be the youngest on the county board, right?
I am. I am by about 10 years. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So, and having children in public school, and the scenario you just gave us about the bus being late, getting into school, or broken down, and so you have a heart for the parents who have children in school. So that diversity, I know it got some older ones. It has one lady on the board, and so I see that. So when you sum it all up, when you put everything, the pieces together, from your personal, yourself, your family, your business, Army Reserve, county, and all the other things, sum it up for your leadership, how you navigate all of those pieces. Can you sum that up?
well, first I say it's only God's grace and mercy uh, that I'm able to do it, and so I give Him the credit. We know that pride is always before the fall, so I often keep that in my mind. And you have to be humble, and like I said before, you got to give grace to people in order to receive the grace.
Yes.
And so that's what I would say in terms of being able to transition. And then it's about having trustworthy and good people around you, people
Amen.
that help you through whatever you're going through.
That's right.
Um, and so, one thing I would say is you can't let yourself get down as you move through things. You cannot let yourself get down. I had a buddy of mine. He used to always say, "It's only two things you can do in life, and that's have a positive attitude and give your best effort." And that's something that I've carried throughout my life. Is that I'm gonna have a positive attitude, a positive outlook. I'm gonna give my best effort, and the rest is up to God. And so that's really my thought. And at the same time, in every stage, in every place that you're in, you got to give thanks. You got to be grateful. You got to be thankful.
That's right.
Um, and so just having a heart of gratitude and appreciation um, for the process, for where you are in the process, and for what's happening to you and
Yes.
through you is important. And I would say that in everything, even though I know it's a separation of church and state, right? I can't check God at the door, whether it's business, whether it's the army, wherever I go, I take Him with me, and so and wherever we go, we're a majority because He's with me. And so you just have to you have to take Him with you because He'll lead and guide and direct you. And that's one thing that I've been grateful for is just His leadership and His guidance. You asked earlier about people that have inspired me. One of the things I also think about. I work for a guy named AC Roper, John Roper, and when I was working with him, I was his aide de camp, and then I became his XO, his executive officer. He's a pastor. He was chief of police in Birmingham, Alabama, and he was at the same time he was a 2-star general. He later retired as a 4-star. He's the first African American uh, 3-star from the Army Reserve, and so it was good to see him move from different areas of his life, whether it was uh, him being a husband, him being a father, him being a faith leader, him being a police officer, him being an Army Reserve general, and how he moved. And one thing I would say is you take you wherever you go, right? So you have how you show up is important in everything that you do. and I got to work with him for about I think about 3 years. I got to work with him, and his humility, his drive, his interpersonal skills, how he talked to people and moved through situations and circumstances, to see him in prayer about things, um, was important. I drove him around. I worked his calendar. I traveled with him wherever he went on the Army Reserve side. That was a treat for me to see leadership at that level do that. And so I was very fortunate to see that. So that's kind of sums up my leadership. I don't try to pattern myself after anybody, but I try to take those intrinsic qualities that they have and add it to me, because I can only be who I am. And
Exactly.
I'll tell you, everywhere I am, I have to show up authentically who I am. And so I like cowboy boots. So it's something I've always liked since I was a little kid. I have a picture of me at 5 years old in cowboy boots and a suit with a bow tie on. And so that's who I've been. And so you have to be confident in who you are. You
That's right.
can't let others' opinion about you become the
That's
opinion
right.
about yourself. So that's what I would say and sum up everything. And lastly, I would say walk in people's shoes, understand where they come from, and understand what their life is like. You just can't go out and make policy or uh, intervene in their lives without fully understanding how they live and what kind of makes them operate the way they operate, and how we can help them. Always looking for opportunities to help them.
Mm.
So hopefully that sums up. I could talk forever about that sort of thing, but that's what I think about when you ask that question.
Well, I thank you very, very much.
Yes.
What, Pastor Jay, you about to say something?
Oh, I was just in agreement. Yes. I just want to say that I think what you have um, instilled in you, and the qualities, I get it. We don't pattern ourselves necessarily after someone else, but there are so many qualities that we could pick up. And I think our generations that are here and coming, I think these are some core pieces that are missed in a lot of our younger and up and coming people. But we need the us's that are around, to be there to help, you know, pour into, or to be that village for the up and coming generation, so that we can get some of this same kind of gumption, if I can say it, poured into our generations, just like that was poured into you. I loved hearing you talk about the generations, that you didn't have to look outside for Michael Jordan, or for anybody that you wanted to pick up to say, I want to be like them. You had it right there in your core community. You had it right there in your surroundings. Those people that were there, that you could, pick up the good things. And I like, you just gave so many good nuggets tonight. How your aunt showed you about the homeless person. He's like you, baby. He's like us, but he just had something that happened right there. So I think, if our generations up and coming could get these pieces of nuggets, it would be so very helpful in their lives. And every chance I get, I try to share some of what you've got in you, poured into you. I try to share it as I can. But thank you so much, because this was just such good information about being a leader. I think if we pull it in to us, it could help all of us a lot. Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Hilton.
Yeah, thank you. And I would say too, just one last thing. One of the things that comes to mind is, especially when you get education. I'm just gonna say it right. When you get education, uh, shout out to Virginia State University, doing an amazing job in our community. Only 4-year institution in Chesterfield County, behind Virginia State University 100%. Went to Averett University in Danville. My mom went there for undergrad, and I later went back and got my MBA from there. And then, just a huge shout out to Virginia Commonwealth University, the Wilder School of Public Administration, Public Policy. I think that, and I'll say this, right? We as African Americans, a lot of times when we get education, right, people feel that we got our education to leave our communities.
Right.
But I didn't get my education to leave my communities. I got it to lead my community. And so I think that we gotta change the dynamic of educated African Americans, that we're not trying to leave our community, we're trying to lead our community. We're trying to make our community better. And so I
Right.
think that has gotten a little twisted in our community sometimes, that education is a barrier between people that didn't get the education and then people that did get it. But
Mhm.
it should really be about us leading our community and listening more intently and trying to get us to where we need to be as a community. So
Sure.
just to say that, thank you so much for allowing me to say that.
Sure.
Thank
That's
you.
very
Thank you.
Very good.
So I could walk away tonight to walk in somebody else's shoes as a leader, and we all as a leader have empathy, and that we serve with humility, because we know that pride go before that fall, and know about the haughty heart. So I would encourage all of us, whatever part of the ladder that we're on in life, to the top or at the bottom, we should lead with humility, and that we be the best leaders that God had put in place for us to be. So I thank you everyone on tonight. Dr. Hilton, thank you very much. As we're talking about leadership and vision and public service, we do this every first Thursday of the month, and then every for leadership. And then the third Thursday of the month, we do the mental health. They work together. They are not totally separate. They work together, because our mental health will affect or adversely affect our leadership, and leadership can affect or adversely affect our mental health. So we definitely want to be the people that God has designed us to be. Thank you all for joining us. Those who have joined and didn't say anything, sometimes I look back. Of course, I look back over and people have comments. If you would like to be a part of this presentation this year, even next year, because this is already past the half of the year, and I try to put people in place months and months ahead of time. So if you would like to, and there are a few spots open for the mental health and for the leadership part, let's call us. And if you ever want us to come to you and to speak about leadership and mental health, and to personally hear my story concerning mental health challenges, hey, call 1-800-Gullie and I'll be there. So we thank you all on tonight. We thank you, and we thank you. So let us just thank God. Join us in the morning for breakfast with us, your early morning boost, Monday through Friday, for about 15 minutes. I think I've covered everything. Just be encouraged. Continue to remember, enjoy every moment of every day to the fullest intentionally. Well, this is Gullie.
Janice.
Juan, thank you.
We thank you all very much and have a good
Have a
night.
good evening. God bless you. Thank you.